So the raw truths of bulking and taking it too far from a TRT user and ex-steroid abuser. Now, all jokes, on the screen, you're gonna see me at 132 kilos. I'm gonna be transparent, gonna be raw, gonna break it down. What came with that life? What came with that look? What came with that with me being a bodybuilder? And essentially every time I bulked, 7 years, I took it too far. I dirty bulked a lot of the time. Luckily, genetically, I held body fat quite well. So what happens when you take the bulk too far? Unwanted body fat, bloated face, shit digestion, lethargy, more stool movement, less toilet paper. How do you do it correctly? So let's break down all of them. How do you limit unwanted body fat? If I was to do it all again in the pursuit of bodybuilding, I've hung my boots up, I had a great bodybuilding endeavor, let's say. One, I wouldn't push myself to a place of unwanted body fat. And I always say to people, in the bulking phase, don't chase the scale weight, because sometimes you get so warped in that scale weight, you lose the reality of what you're actually doing this for. Bodybuilding is building a physique and keeping a good, respected level of body fat. So the scale weight is one metric. Another metric I like to use is a visual from the eyes and how I actually look week on week. Because there was weeks when I was bodybuilding and I was bulking, I was about 125, 126 kilos, and physically my scale weight didn't want to go up anymore. And I'd do the check and I'd be like, oh, I feel bigger, I feel better this week. Fuck, the scale weight moved, put more food in, put more food in, put more food in. And sometimes that comes with unwanted body fat and a lot of stress on the digestive system as well and the digestive tract. So what I tend to go off now is the biggest metrics. Yes, the scale is one of them, but the visuals on how you look. But when I got to that size, 125, 126, 127, I started to look at my performance, because typically a bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. So even though my weight's the same, have I performed better in the gym this week? Like, are we doing the building blocks that are contributing to building real muscle tissue? Yes, no, etc. So what I would look at now is the scale weight. Then I'd cross-correlate the scale weight with the imagery. Then I'd cross-correlate the imagery with the weights I'm doing in the gym. And if the scale weight's the same, but I'm stronger and I feel bigger and I feel a bit tighter, let's not push the scale till we're not getting any stronger, till we're not feeling any bigger. So that's what I would be doing now when I look at that. Yeah, and I would do it all different. I always say, if you've competed and you're reverse dieting out that phase, for me, an optimal amount of weight above your stage weight is 16 to 18 kilos. For a lifestyle guy doing a shoot, doing an Ibiza diet, Marbella, have it off with a boys diet, I think 12 to 14 kilos if you're really looking to actively build muscle. I think if you're looking to stay in a great shape all year round, be a bit stronger, a bit fuller in t-shirts, probably 10 kilos, and then it's an easier diet. A 10 kilo diet's easy, 8 kilo diet's easy. But what came with that for me, I'm actually gonna put on the screen my facial transformation from using anabolic steroids to TRT. So what comes with that is a bloated face. Carbs retain water, that water has to go somewhere. We don't choose where that water goes. For a lot of guys, we store it in our face, and that's where the term meathead comes, big round fucking red head, do you know what I mean? And that came with red flushes. Red flushes come from high blood pressure. That came with inflammation in the face due to such a high carbohydrate diet, probably due to the body being under stress as well from trying to break down protein throughout the day, because my protein was, 350, 400 grams of protein a day. And typically all you need is 1.1 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. It was obviously in the excess of that, pushing things to the limit. And when I say bad skin, that typically came from, because a lot of the time when I was in that phase of adding tissue and chasing, my dietary fats were over 100 grams a day. And sometimes them dietary fats are made up of negative fats. And what I mean by negative fats are not good fats, let's say. So post-workout, what would I do? I'd train in Benoist, and I'd go have a shake, and I'd go to KFC, get a big bucket of KFC, and I'd have a Mountain Dew full fat, scoff that back. When you're looking at the sort of food I'm chucking in, don't get me wrong, my other 5 meals in the day were clean to plan. 1,000 calorie each meal is pretty much my mantra. We do 1,000 calorie each meal. And then what we do on the back of that is we then have a free meal. So again, we was pushing 6,000 calories, but where that diet is a higher fat, more greasy, what it did is it affected my skin. It had me breaking out and things like that. So typically that comes with a bit of bad skin as well when you are pushing the envelope, when you're doing a dirty bulk. Hence why I always talk about doing a clean bulk, having a linear bulking phase where we push up, pull back, push up, pull back. to keep one, body fat at bay, and also to keep the body as responsive as we can and bulk in the most healthy and corrective fashion. What did I also see at the back of that? Naturally, I had bad digestion, because the hardest thing to digest in the body is protein. It slows down your digestion. So eating copious amounts of protein led to my digestion being slower. Digestion being slower, trying to put in copious amounts of carbohydrates just wasn't the greatest combination. But bulking, bro, bit of distension, wear a baggy t-shirt, it wasn't really an issue at the time. And then we all know it's not about what you consume, it's about what you digest. And if that digestion slows down, that can actually pull on your mood. They say your digestive system is your second brain, and it can have an impact on the way you feel day to day if your digestion is off. So now I'm huge on gut health, I'm huge on digestion, huge on probiotics, huge on digestive enzyme, huge on kimchi, huge on sauerkraut, huge on all the things that are here to protect your digestion. Whereas back then it was just get food in. It wasn't trying to protect that gut health or digestion. Obviously, on the back end of eating copious amounts of food, it leads to irritation, it leads to more stool movement. That is never positive for anyone. No one wants to be on the toilet all day. On the back of big, super high carbohydrates diet, when I was bodybuilding and at excess weight, that obviously left to signs of lethargy, because as we know, eating 6,000 to 7,000 calories a day, the body does not say this is fun. The body says, I have more work to do to break this down. Hence why the body's always in a cycle of doing all the workers in here are doing work. And that led to signs of lethargy. You know, I'd have a big carbohydrate meal and I'd fall asleep. And again, that also led into unproductivity in other avenues of life. So lethargy was also a negative sign. Back then, bodybuilding, growing, sleep is the most anabolic thing there is. So I'd be like, fucking hell, let me shuttle in loads of food post-workout, and then I'll just have a nap. And the hour nap is probably where I grew my best. After I trained, I used to smash that KFC, that Mountain Dew, bit of insulin, go sleep, and I just grew like a weed. But the one thing it did make, that lethargy, which had a negative, it made me very lazy. And I realized I'm a guy who gets up at 5 a.m. That 5 a.m. turned to 7 a.m. That 7 a.m. turned to 8 a.m. because the body just wanted to rest. Because subconsciously it knew when it wakes up, fucking hell, we're getting back to work. So if I was to do it correctly, I wouldn't push to unwanted amounts of body fat. I wouldn't chase the scale weight. I wouldn't push excess carbs where facially it would have an effect on me. And I'd also be very cautious of my digestion, but I'd also know my limit, because you always know when you've pushed it a bit too far. And once I felt that, I would have implemented mini diet phases or scale back phases where we essentially just pull back slightly. And I always say sometimes you pull back slightly to go forward. So that's how I would do it if I was to bulk again. So if you're interested in knowing how to bulk correctly, drop us a message. If you've got any questions below, drop a comment. Anything you want to know about bulking, I'd rather advise you the right way than the wrong way.